This is the code organization activity in JavaScript. I have a project open that we can use to explore these different concepts, and I have the README file open for this activity. I do recommend doing some research on your own, see if you can learn about some of the different techniques. I'm going to go over the basic ones, the main ones in JavaScript. This activity is more about learning what the mechanisms are rather than how to use them or any kind of best practices. So this is really just understanding what the mechanisms are for organizing code in JavaScript. So let me go and open up, we'll open up a couple files here so we can use these to talk through what we've got going on. At the lowest level, there are a few different things that we have that we can use to group functionality together. The first is going to be a function. So I can create a function at the root level of any JavaScript file, my func, and now we have a function that we can use that has a name and we can reuse that. So functions are certainly the lowest level. Now functions can contain other functions, so that's kind of interesting. So we could even use nested functions, so functions inside my inner func that we can then call. My inner func is only available inside my func, so you couldn't call my inner func outside of my func due to closures and scopes, but we can do functions inside functions. So functions are the lowest level. In addition to that, we also have classes. And a function can be a class if we create it that way, but we can also create classes. My class is another different root object, and classes can contain functions. Classes can also technically contain other classes, but we get into some weirdness that happens there. But classes, functions, and then finally objects and constants. So in this case, you can see we've got a constant named app. I said objects, so variables and constants. So we've got a constant called app. That is a root level object that we can use to pull things together. Same thing with variables. We could create a variable that could then group things together that could get reused somewhere else or named, something along those lines. So again, at the lowest level, we've got a few different things. Functions, classes, which can also contain functions, and then variables and constants. Moving up from those concepts, the next level up is the file itself. So files in JavaScript are going to end in one of three different extensions: .js, .cjs, and .mjs. So .js is the default. It's just a JavaScript file, and it will either be a module or a common specification module depending on the settings in the package.json file. In addition to that, an MJS is a module JavaScript file. In our case, this is also a module only because in my package.json, the type is set to module. So that means these files are going to compile down into modules. The final is a CJS, which is the common JavaScript file, which is a non-module. That's kind of the older syntax that'll use require instead of import as an example. So those are the three different extensions. I'm going to focus mostly on the JS and the MJS for this particular exercise. I'm going to ignore the CJS for now. That's worth doing some research on as well. In the module, so a file is considered a module if it's a JS or MJS, and where the JS is in a module type. So a module can contain any number of variables, constants, functions, and classes at the root. And then it can export those to be available publicly to other modules. They can import those from this module as an example. So a file and a module in the JavaScript world are synonymous. Those basically mean the same thing. The module is the code representation. The file is the physical disk representation of that concept. And then moving up from modules, we have packages. This is the Mirror API package. Think of it as a project. The package is going to have a package.json, which gives it all the settings, all the dependencies, anything else we need to have done. These are all the different project settings. So a package, really when you share a package, you publish a package, it is the collection of all of the folders and files, and then therefore the modules, objects, or variables, constants, functions, and classes inside that project. So the package is the highest level. Inside packages, we have modules, which are files. Inside the modules and files, we're going to have constants and or variables and or functions and or classes. And then finally in classes, we can also have other functions. So those are the different mechanisms available to us in JavaScript. It does get more complicated when you need to talk about TypeScript and or CJS files, which are the common specification files. Again, I'm not going to go into either of those today. This is enough for now.